Welcome to another exciting edition to GroveCityHockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code GroveCityHockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got Aydin Schwetz. How you doing, brother?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the pod. I'm very excited.
Oh, dude, not as excited as I am. Not only did you participate in one of the greatest roller hockey games of all time just a couple weeks ago, you actually have a couple of businesses that I really want to help, to talk a little bit about. But before we get into that, tell us how that hockey game was between you guys at GCU, Grand Canyon University versus Lindenwood, the mighty Lindenwood University out of Missouri. Just that triple overtime, insane.
Yeah, I mean, it was about as amazing as it looked online. I think we've gone back and rewatched it quite a few times. So, it was as thrilling from the bench and nerve-wracking from the bench as it was from the stands. Going into the game, I think was really where the big difference lies, as opposed to like where a lot of other teams would be going into a game like this. Mm-hmm. So throughout the inception of the program, throughout our last two seasons, we have set many lofty goals, and prior to entering that game against Lindenwood, we had achieved more than all of the goals that we had set out for the year, with that number one goal being make the national championship game. That was the goal we set on day one. And there were many goals underneath that: win a Western Conference championship, have a winning record against ASU, building our culture in a very specific way, increase our team bonding from the year that we had prior, fix the things that we made mistakes on our first year. We had achieved all those things. So going into that last game, we were really in the mindset of just like pure elation. I mean, we were just like, we already won. We already had achieved everything we wanted to do this year. So this game is going to be fun. This is all it is. And I think that's a really important word to harp on. A couple of days, I think it was like a day or two prior to that game, the big and mighty Travis No commented on one of our videos that we had posted as a recap of our game, and said something along the lines of, "Love the Sellies, boys. The team having the most fun usually wins." And we freaked out in our group chat when that happened. We were sending screenshots to each other like, "Oh my God, Travis No commented on our video." And we talked about it. We had to sit down and we were like, what does this mean? And we really took his words to heart. And we went into that game just wanting to have as much fun as possible. And lo and behold, Travis was right, and the team having more fun won.
Yeah, you guys looked very composed, and I was a little worried because I had interviewed Henry Ford's Dylan Patnaud a couple of times on the pod. And I was really kind of hoping to see how they would do. You guys came out, and it was a very tight game for the most part. And then that third period, you guys really exposed them. And Carter played phenomenal.
Oh yeah, Carter.
Goaltender, yeah.
Carter is always phenomenal, and so are a lot of those players. Dylan Patnaud, Dustin Foran. They're very, very good players. And keep in mind that was only the second time we've ever seen Henry Ford on the tile. Yeah. and we lost the first time. I believe it was 4-3 or 6-5-4 in regulation.
Yeah.
So we were going into the game fully expecting a really close game. Like that was really what we were anticipating, and I think we just were really on a hot streak. We started our first game was against ASU. We won that 4-0, so we were feeling good about that. We finally finished the season with a perfect record against our in-state rival. And then we had our game against Bethel, and we had just lost 3 games in a row to Bethel just 2 weeks prior at the Kelly College Bowl in Nashville.
Yep.
So winning that game in regulation, especially 5-2, with the 3-goal deficit, we were really just riding super high. So I think it was a big difference than how we went into the first time we played Henry Ford last year, where we were in Chicago when we played them.
Yeah.
We had 2 days of games. The first day we played Ohio State, which was a D2 team, Michigan State, and Henry Ford. And we lost to Ohio State. And then we lost to Henry Ford. And then we beat Michigan, but it wasn't by a lot. And we single-handedly concluded that was the worst day of hockey we've ever played. And then the next day, we played Lindenwood and Bethel. We were going into those games like, oh, I'm so excited to lose 15-0 today in 2 games in a row. Ended up taking both games to overtime, with the Bethel game going all the way to a shootout. So anyways, we went into the first Henry Ford game just with low heads, staring at the floor. And we came into this Henry Ford game with significantly higher hopes, significantly less drama, much bigger hot streak, and I think that really just all came into a perfect tide to pull out an 11-0 win, or 10-0, I don't remember what it was, but it was by a large margin, and nobody was anticipating that, and it was not, whatever the score was, it was not a 10-0 game by any means. We really just had a really great day, honestly.
Yeah, and then not only that, but your goaltender Max Curry was just phenomenal the whole tournament.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal goaltender. He's very, very even-keeled, very cool, calm, collected. In my experience, whenever you have a really good goalie, they're the trade-off is they're really good, but they're really inconsistent. So they'll have really, really good games and really, really bad games and nothing in between. And we got very lucky with Max, where he has really, really good games all the time.
Right.
And so unfortunately, he was injured for a good portion of our season, about a half. So he didn't see a ton of rink time. But then when we went to Nashville, I think it was pretty obvious that he was going to be taking that first spot. And it ended up happening that one of our other goalies, Jay Pacheco, kind of filled in well as a skating role because he plays skater as well, just for fun. And we ended up taking him to nationals as a skater instead of as a goalie, he was our starting goaltender last year going into nationals. So it was kind of a change up, but it ended up working out for the better.
Yeah. And it's incredible. I mean, like I said, it had me. I was able to watch. I think there was something else that we were watching too, but I had it on my laptop. I was telling my fiance, I'm like, hey, like I'm just doing some research, but this game is phenomenal. And she would kind of peek over and take a look at it from time to time. Not because I don't have the sound on. I was just telling her a little bit about what was going on. I'm like, holy cow, this is a great game going back and forth. And it was 1-1, right? Going into overtime?
1-1 going into overtime.
Yeah,
both goals being special teams. Yeah,
and that is the type of game that you want to have with as many highlights. For a recruiting tool. I was talking to JP Bealston about it after the game, and because he's like, I probably can get my dad on the pod with you, here in a couple weeks, and so look for that episode too. That'll be a pretty good one. And so yeah, I was just like, just no way. I'm like, that was it had me on the edge of my seat from. I think from the second period on, because that's when I was able to finally sit down and start watching it because I had the kids all squared away for a little bit. So
gotcha. Yeah, no, I'm excited to hear what RB had to say about the whole thing. Yeah. But it was a very, very David and Goliath game for sure. With a little bit of extra in the background, if you know the whole story. Me leaving Lindenwood initially to start the program, and just 2 years later saying I'm in the ship game. So. Yeah, it was very, very, very exciting experience. And honestly, like, winning a national championship was a 10-year goal for, for starting a new team like this. And, if you go back into the history of Division I champions, obviously 50% of them is Lindenwood. But then you look at the other ones, only 2 times has a West Coast team won a D1 championship, with the last time being like 2011 or 2013, so somewhere in there.
Yeah, was it Long Beach Poly or something like that?
Long Beach, and then before that, I think it was Pomona. So then only 2 times the West Coast team has brought it home. It's been over a decade. Schools like Bethel University consistently ranked, second, third in the country every year over year.
Yep.
They've only brought it home 1 time. I didn't know that. Our in-state rival ASU.
Yep.
Fully, I never looked it up. I really thought they had a couple under their belt. They've never won it. So we actually didn't have a ton of information about like the history of the D1 championship going into it, because we didn't think we'd be here. Like the goal was to get there. The goal was to get to the game. That was it. And we just kind of surprised ourselves. So I very much appreciate everyone who tuned in. And I'm just as excited, thinking about it and going back and watching it. So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So now let's take a step back and tell us your beginning journey. What drew you to the sport of hockey? Did a family member kind of point you in that direction? Was it something you just saw on TV and was like, hey, you know what? I got to do that.
Sure. Yeah. So my dad played hockey when he was growing up until he was about 14. And so he was the one that pushed me into it and got me into it. He, was one of those dads that made sure I tried a bunch of other sports, played soccer, played lacrosse, played some, t-ball. I think played t-ball for 2 games and quit because it was too boring. And I just really fell in love with roller. I mean, I've been playing roller hockey since I was 4. I remember my first ever travel tournament was with Team Warrior, 6 and under, playing Narch regional qualifiers in MIHA, if anyone remembers that, Western Inline Hockey Association, with my coach, Dave Sirianni, teaching me every swear word I know in the book at 6 years old, or 5 years old, or whatever I was. So that's who got me into it. And I played only roller until I was 11, because we had a rink down the street from my house. It was a beautiful rink. It's called the Roller Dome. Shut down 2011, turned into a 99-cent store. So I stopped playing roller. Well, I eased off on the roller, started playing ice because that was the next closest rink to me, was an ice rink. I then kind of played that through till I was 18. Played irregular tournaments here and there, maybe once or twice over the summer. Nothing major. And then I picked it back up when I was about 20. So about 4 years ago, and my buddy Adam, I was living in an apartment with him in Burbank, California. I was not in the greatest point of life. At this point in my life, I was much larger than I am now, about 60 pounds heavier, and I was rocking an Amish beard with nothing on the cheeks. It was not a good look. Just a chin strap.
It really isn't.
It looked bad on me, I can tell you. It was not great. And I was playing video games professionally. That was about 50% of my income at the time. And he begged me for months to come play like an outdoor pickup game, and roller game. And I was like, no, like I'm playing Fortnite or what. I hate admitting that, but it's true. Finally one day I was like, you know what? Screw it. Like, I'll just go play. I hadn't picked up a stick in 2 years after I'd had my surgery on my shoulder. And not 3 minutes into this game, I was like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I cannot believe I stopped playing this. This is what I love. I can't, like, this is so much fun. It also, I was really irritated at myself because I'd been playing hockey for 18 years, 16 years or whatever it was at that point. Yep. And the first like 15, 20 minutes I was on the rink, I couldn't get the puck off the floor. And I was so pissed. I was freaking out. I'm like, I took private lessons from NHL coaches for years. I can't get the puck off the rink. This is horrible. And so it was like half out of I love this and half out of pure frustration with myself that I really dove right back in, and it came at a really good time. I was part of this esports organization I was working for called Above the Rest, ATR, and I had this amazing day on Twitch. Had like tens of thousands of viewers at one point. I got hosted by a bunch of really famous people. It was super awesome. Was making some good money. I was like, all right, I got to go to TwitchCon. It's in San Diego. It's in 2 days. I'll buy a last minute ticket. Went to TwitchCon to meet all these like my idols in esports that I had been watching for the last 2 years. Oh my God, all these guys are losers. It was unbelievable. I was so disappointed. I'd been looking up to these guys and they were shaking my hand like a wet noodle. And like it would like I met this guy. I don't want to bash him if anyone loves him. But this is my personal experience. His name was Tom 72 Hours, Liquid 72 Hours. And I went up to him and was like, hey, Tom, like, so nice to meet you. I'm such a big fan. Like, I really idolize myself over you in my streams. And he's staring at me like this. Nice to meet you. I'm like, oh my God. I do not want to be like any of these people. And so I was like, you know what? I'm done. I quit. Like, I can make my $500 a month elsewhere. Like doing something else. And then I picked up roller hockey again. So it was just really perfect timing. And yeah, that's how I got into it and kind of how I got to where I am at this moment. Hope that answers your question.
That's awesome. And then from there, where did it take you? So let's just keep going, man, because you have an incredible journey, and I can't wait to really hear it from start to finish. So
yeah, absolutely. So
just jump back into it.
So I jumped back into it, and first off, I was starting from scratch. Like, I was 235 pounds at 5'6". I had zero stamina. I couldn't get the puck off the tile. I really feel like I was starting from scratch again. Like, I had very little muscle memory. Like, I had no speed. It was bad. It was embarrassing is what it was. So I was starting like at the bottom of silver. And I was after a couple more weeks of living in Burbank and doing these pickup games, I ended up quitting the job I had out in Burbank, moved out of the apartment with Adam, which, by the way, Adam Poe actually runs Ventura Roller Sports now out in Camarillo, California. You should look it up. Ventura Roller Sports on Instagram. Started his own rink. It's super cool. And I moved home. I started working at a farm. And basically, this is going to sound like the most insane roller hockey schedule you've ever seen, but I was so determined to get, like, I wanted to play pro roller hockey. Like, that was that I had a new goal in life, and that was what I was doing, and I dedicated every single moment of it to it. So I woke up at 4:15 in the morning every single day. I ran 2 miles, a mile to the end of my neighborhood, a mile back. Took a shower at 8, went to work. I worked from anywhere from 5:30 to 6 o'clock in the morning to about 4-ish p.m. Depending on what the day was. It was different every day. Went to the local rink, skated for about an hour, had a routine, shot 200 pucks, took the skates off, went across the street to the gym, was in the gym for 2 hours at least, went home, ate food, hung out with my parents for 30 minutes or so, and went right back to bed. And I woke up the next day and did it again. And I did that until I lost a bunch of weight and started playing in tournaments. And I have some like photos of myself playing in these tournaments back in the day where I have like 9 different pieces of mismatched gear and that I just like had moshed along from different teams I had played over the years. And it was I started a crappy team in silver that was gracious enough to give me the opportunity. I don't even remember what the first team I played for was. And eventually kept playing silver tournaments over and over and over again until I was like, all right, I'm winning top scorer in silver. I've won a couple of trophies. I think I can play gold. So then I hit up a gold team. I played on a couple different gold teams, ended up with this team called the West Side Boys. I played like 5 or 6 tournaments with the West Side Boys, won every tournament. I was getting top scorer in gold. I was like, all right, I've won top scorer a couple times. I'm like 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 in my last gold tournaments. I'm gonna try and play platinum. But that span was like a really long time. And during that time, I went to Arizona State. I moved out here to Arizona. I had really just like, it was like the only school I knew that had a team that I could remember at the time. It's actually fun fact. I actually toured Lindenwood when I was 16. Completely forgot about it. Didn't even remember until the end of my time at ASU. ASU was shut down during COVID. And I went out there during COVID, so I couldn't live on campus. So I lived in an Airbnb with a Vietnamese family for 3 months doing ASU online. And that was a story and a half in and of itself. The second night I was there, they tried to serve me balut, which, if you've ever heard of balut, it is boiled duck fetus.
Sounds delicious.
Oh, delicious. I didn't even understand what he said when he was making dinner. I'm like, oh, they're making dinner for me. That's so nice. Like, amazing. I went down while he was cooking. I was like, oh, do you mind if I look? And I lifted the pot and I literally saw a duck fetus like sprawled out boiling. I was like, oh, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have a meeting. And I left. I felt so bad, but it looked so gross and I couldn't do it. Anyways, so ASU, out of their control. We only had 2 practices the entire 3 months I was there. But I was dedicated. Like, I was in it for the long haul. But then the semester hit. They shut down everything. And so I was like, all right, screw this. I'm not waiting another year to play college roller. I'm going to transfer. So I went from Arizona State to Lindenwood. I called up Ron Bielstein. I was like, hey, you got a spot for me? Like, I'm at Arizona State right now. They just shut everything down. I want to come. I want to keep playing. And he's like, yeah, I remember you from when you were 16. I'm like, oh my God, I did tour the school. I totally forgot about that. So
you didn't tell him that though, did you?
No, I don't remember if I told him.
He's just like, you just played it cool.
But I have a photo of myself when I'm 16 on Main Street in St. Charles, Missouri with my sister.
That's awesome.
And I had totally forgotten about that trip. Anyways, so went to Lindenwood second semester. We practiced normal practice schedule, but Lindenwood was like the only team that was above water as far as the COVID stuff goes. So we only played 4 games, I think, in the whole semester I was there. And it was over 2 weekends too. So we played one weekend, we had 2 games, another weekend we had 2 games, and that was it. That was our entire schedule. We did a tournament in Colorado. And so I guess we played 6 games or 7, in total for the semester, which was better than nothing. I got lucky. I didn't have a roommate my first semester. So I got my own place, and it was a converted motel. Lindenwood had bought a Days Inn motel. And I was staying in one of the rooms, and it was official school housing. Like, they didn't just literally stick me in a motel, but there was still like Days Inn signage on the inside of the doors and stuff, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, so then second year comes around. And there was an unfortunate situation, which I hope I'm not butchering how this happened, but this is how I remembered it. The first year I was there, everyone had gone home from our school was over by the time Nationals was announced. And they announced Nationals, and they're like, it's in 2 weeks. Whoever can make it, great. Whoever can't make it, we'll see you next year, is essentially what it was. And I was in California. I was like, Coach, Nationals got announced. When are we going? And he's like, no, everyone's gone home. Like, we're not going. I'm like, I will pay for my own flight. I don't care. I want to go. And they waved it off. And I was like, oh man, all right. So next year rolls around. I'm still on the AA team. Forgot to mention that. I was on the secondary team the first year, and both years I was there. And I really felt like I was killing it. For basically the entire season, I was leading our division in goals and points, not assists. And everyone knows I'm not the biggest assist guy in the world. But I make up for it. I promise. It's, anyways. So, we're halfway through the year playing a normal schedule, normal amount of games. I'm leading the division in goals and points, and I'm still on the third line. And very clearly too. We're playing 3 12-minute stop time periods. I'm getting 3, maybe 4 shifts a game, which a shift a period, 2 shifts a period at the most. Yeah. For AA when you're winning games 15-20-0 was it would be a different story if the games were 2-1 and I was being outranked by vets or guys outscoring me. Totally get that. I did the ice hockey thing. I'm not delusional. Well, I don't think I'm delusional, but everyone's a little delusional. But I had the stats to prove it. Like, I had earned my spot. I was I was basically scoring every shift I had or every other shift I was out there. So one tournament came around, and I basically kind of brought it up to the coaches. I was like, we just played a game. We won 14-0. I had 2 shifts. I had 3 goals as well. So like, what's going on? I had 2 goals on one shift, 1 goal on the other. Never got played the rest of the game. What happened? I'm not going to talk about exactly what the conversation went. I don't want to be disrespectful to them. Mm-hmm. Basically, didn't like what I heard. I thought it was a very ignorant response, and I had a couple more conversations, and I just didn't agree with what they said. And so it was during that weekend I was like, all right, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. If I feel like I have put my best foot forward. I'm leading the league in goals. I have the stats to prove it. I'm not getting shifts. Like, I'm not going to be I'm not going to be a 23-year-old junior playing on the gold team. Which I didn't feel like I was going to have the opportunity to be pushed up or really have the opportunity to do anything outside of the gold team. So I was during this year, I was being flown out to Arizona by a MIHA team called the Impact Coyotes, which is now called the Connex Coyotes. And I loved my time with them. I really had a blast. I got named captain both years I was there. We did some really cool things. And my first year with the Coyotes, which I know they're going to be listening to this, so I want to make this very clear. When I say that the Coyotes was an experiment, please let me explain. I had met a friend through the Coyotes named Alex Parrish, who I actually started the GCU program with. I didn't do it alone. It was with Alex. And we said to ourselves, all right, if Lindenwood is not up to what I would expect the Alabama of roller hockey to be like, what do we do? How do you change the game from there? How do you elevate from the best at the moment? And we brainstormed and we thought and we did all these things. Like, all right, we need to care a whole lot. That was it. That was our plan. We were going to give the biggest shit about roller hockey anyone's ever seen. And so we did, and we treated this MIHA team like it was NCAA collegiate hockey. We had everything paid for. We had matching gray helmets. We had stickers. We had 4 jerseys, 2 pants. We played in extra tournaments. I did professional media. I did graphic design. We made everything look super professional. We did interviews. We did media. We did outreach. We did all the things you would expect out of an NCAA program to the best that we could at the time. And it worked incredibly. And the best part about it was, our team, shout out to them, was not very good. As far as the team goes, skill-wise, not the greatest. In fact, we didn't even win our conference technically. We won the conference title, but the first place team didn't show up. So that's kind of why we won.
Won by default.
Won by default, yeah. So basically, we were like, all right, what happens when you treat a bunch of under par players like NCAA collegiate athletes? What happens? Well, turns out you make them a whole lot better and you give them the resources and the experience to grow as an athlete in the way that they chose to grow as an athlete. It worked unbelievably. So then we took that and everything we learned with the Coyotes and we're like, all right, let's do something even bigger. We're going to start our own college team. And we kind of we got from that point to the GCU point with, I'm going to leave Lindenwood. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's nowhere else for me to go because you can't go anywhere better than Lindenwood at the time. There was no upwards movement. That was it.
Right.
So I was like, all right, we got to start our own program. Where do we go? I'd been flown out to Arizona a bunch of times, kind of fell in love with the area, found out that GCU had an on-campus rink.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, this is the biggest selling point of all time. We have a rink on campus. Like, you can play roller hockey 24/7. How much more opportunity could you possibly ask for? Um,
Exactly.
so it turns out it wasn't 24/7. The lights turn off at 11:30, but it's a whole bunch of roller hockey. 6 a.m. to 11:30 is as close as you're gonna get.
Right.
So I was like, holy crap. Okay, well, what else do they got? And then I came and visited. Oh, this is the most beautiful campus I've ever seen. We have we have 5 pools, 6 jacuzzis, palm trees everywhere, 80% women. They're all gorgeous. Like, it's unbelievable. And they had beautiful facilities, 30 basketball courts. They had built this campus to be like the world's greatest Christian summer school. It's Christian summer camp, but they just happened to teach college courses there.
Mhm.
Like, that's how they built it. There are education buildings that are hidden behind sports facilities, hidden behind trees. Like, they're hiding the classrooms. They want you to focus on the experience. And it's so obviously built that way. Like, GCU knows it's never going to be an Ivy League school, and they know their role. They are an experienced school. That's why we have a literal cult-like following with our sports teams. I mean, for a school that hasn't made a huge splash in the NCAA sphere, we don't have a football team. We were ranked the #1 loudest fan section in NCAA all basketball, and we had only made the tournament once, one time.
Yeah, this year. Yeah,
or
this year.
last year was the first
Last
time.
year, yeah.
This is our second year, and we got waxed by Gonzaga in the first round. So to have the sports fans that we do at our school, and the assets that we do, and the amenities, the buildings, the facilities, it's unbelievable, especially for the price. You come here as an online student, $4,000 a semester. It's unbelievable. Yeah, wow was right. When you, especially when you're comparing it to like Lindenwood, which is like 31 grand a year, or ASU, which is like 44 grand a year. I mean, it's a huge difference. So these were all just major selling points to where me and Alex are sitting down like, this is perfect. When we call these people to come play for us, even if we're not great our first year, we're going to play in D1. You're going to have the time of your life. We live in paradise. This is one of the nicest campuses you'll ever see in your life, and you'll have all the women you could possibly want if you don't have a girlfriend. I mean, it's 4-1. I mean, what do you want me to say?
for single guys that are looking, 20% of your campus is guys versus the 80%, gorgeous single women, like you were saying. You really can't beat that. I mean, that's a huge recruiting tool right there.
Massive recruiting tool. I mean, it was the first couple guys we got to go on a tour. They were walking around. They're like, dude, I thought you were kidding. Like, it was the on-campus rink we have is smack dab in the middle of where most of the dorms are on that part of campus and the closest pool. So there's people walking back in front of the rink in bikinis and bathing suits all day. And how can you beat that? How do you beat that? You don't beat that. So then
unless you're on the West Coast.
Exactly. So we were really riding that. Like, we have all of the amenities and facilities and passion and drive to really treat this like an NCAA program. And so we just kind of went from there and just did all the things as big as possible, cared as much as we could physically muster, and created the program that we did and built the culture that I think we've been able to build here. And you know what? We really thought a national title was 10 plus years down the line. Now that we have this under our belt, we're looking to build a dynasty here. We have all of the momentum. We've got all of the hot streak. We have all of the amenities and facilities and pull. The funding could use some help. If anyone's out there wants to help with the funding, we don't get any funding from the school. Absolutely zero. In fact, we actually had to pay the school about $2,000 over this past year in fees. So we actually have a negative funding from the school, but it's okay. They've given me a lot of autonomy in running the program the second year, and I just had a meeting where moving forward, we're basically going to be able to do near whatever we want, not just anything we want, but really close. So the amount of opportunities and options we're going to have moving forward is just almost boundless. So I'm very, very excited about it. Hopefully that wasn't too long-winded, but that is exactly how we got to where we are at this moment.
Yeah, and so now the real hard work comes into play, because anybody can make it to the top of the mountain. Now your job and your goal, your personal goal, now that you're taking a step back and you're going to do the GM aspect of it, is maintaining it. So now you got to hit the recruiting trail now, while the championship is still while the iron's still hot. Yep,
absolutely, you are completely correct. Like as we were talking about beforehand, I while I feel like I'm a very good player, and I feel like I would be a very good asset to the roster next year and for the next 2 years, because they still have 2 years of eligibility. Mm-hmm. I think I would be a significantly greater asset as a manager and as someone behind the scenes, creating the opportunities, building the schedule, and doing all the cool things for other people to enjoy, which is really why we started this in the first place. Obviously for these first 2 years, I also benefited from all the work that I put in myself. But, I really think the national championship changed a lot. I was fully anticipating going to play in Europe after this. I have a couple, I guess I still have a couple of offers at the moment. But after the title, I've really decided I'm going to stick around. And, I want to follow this momentum. I want to build a dynasty out here. I want this program to be around for decades to come, and, make sure that it is as fantastic as humanly possible. And, not just help our program, but as I've said in many other podcasts, I truly believe that one of the easiest ways that we can grow roller hockey in the United States is to put an insane focus on college. Mm-hmm. And if you are the reason being, that I should say the number one reason for that is tournament teams are great, but they come and go. Right. They go to one tournament, they don't go to another tournament. They're here one year, they're gone the next. Even the pro teams come and go. There's like 4 pro teams that have been around for an extended period of time. 4
major pro teams. I think you got the Black Ice, you've got the Palma
Roadrunners,
Tour Roadrunners,
Snipers, which is one tournament. And you have Car Shield, which is recent, and Skittles, which is recent. Yeah. And then everybody else is either new or goes in and out. And so with college, yes, college teams drop off, but the colleges are there. If someone sticks around, the team will be there for theoretically forever. The college is not going anywhere, as far as we know. So
I know I had Brendan Edwards on the pod too, and he made it seem like it wasn't going anywhere anytime soon. So that's
the league's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I'm talking about the physical colleges.
Yep.
Is going to be a staple in the United States society for many, many, many years. We don't foresee that changing anytime soon. There's a small hiccup totally outside of the roller sphere that because of the 2008 collapse. There's going to be a 60% dip in college admissions in a couple years, whenever 18 years from 2008 is. I can't do that math in my head. 2026 maybe.
Something like that, yeah.
So 2026 hits, there's going to be a crazy dip in college admissions because there's just way less kids in that birth year. But outside of that, we're assuming the colleges are going to stick around, and that theoretically the college teams can be here year over year over year, and the league's going to stay the same. And you can build things out from college teams. Like when lacrosse exploded 10 years ago, if you remember how they did it, they focused on the college teams. The college came first, and then high school, and then middle school, and they expanded out from that. And then they went upwards from that too. The first professional lacrosse league that went mainstream out here, the PLL, their first teams were all based in the 8 best collegiate lacrosse school cities in the country. That's where they started. They built off of the colleges, and then they expanded out from there, obviously. And then the NLL came along, and they did it a little bit differently. But that's how they did it. They built out from the colleges. And right now, the college league is the longest standing league in the United States. I'm not going to say event because there's still Narch and there's Tours has been around for a long time, but it's the longest standing league, and that's very important. I think leagues are what need to be focused on because one, there's a lack of them. You have NCRHA, MIHA, which barely anybody knows about when you talk to them about it, and MIHA, which outside of men's league Midwest, nobody knows what MIHA is. Yeah, absolutely. I guarantee you, 99% of anybody west of the Mississippi that plays roller hockey has no idea what MIHA is.
And that's crazy because it's such it's such a multi-state conglomerate because you're going from New York all the way to Chicago to Illinois. You got teams coming in from Iowa. You got teams coming in from Canada, Wisconsin. You got guys coming in from Minnesota. You've got guys coming up from Florida to play from time to time. I mean, granted, they all have Midwestern roots, whether they were, from the Chicago area or they're from the Detroit area. And with the Card Shield boys, with Corey Hodge and Garrett Ross sticking around and not playing overseas in Europe this year, for whatever reason that may be. I didn't personally ask them this year. When I had Corey when I had Haji on the pod a couple months ago, so I mean it's one of those ones where and that T2 division is just as fast, if not faster, than some of the pro games that you see over in Europe, over here, and in MIHA as well. I mean Corey Hodges, Hodges' team is in MIHA. And they're not even the number one team in the league right there. So I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's not a knock on the skill level in the league by any means. It's purely a awareness and marketing thing. Like it's just not well known. Period. And I really think that like when you look at any other sport, and sorry, I'm such a nerd for like the niche sport thing. I've done so many needless hours of this, but like when you look at niche sports, name me a sport anywhere in the world that is solely focused on tournaments. And the only ones you're going to zero. The only ones you're going to come up with.
Wrestling would be the only one.
Wrestling, and you could argue golf, but they add up. So you go to a wrestling tournament, you score points that move you on to the next event. There's a state championship. You have a season. Yes, they're one-off events, but they build off of each other. That's a league. When you go to Narch, when you go to Tours, when you go to State Wars, nothing builds off of each other. Right. The only thing that builds off of each other is the Palma Pro qualifier, which is fairly new, and it's only for pro.
This year.
Well, they did it once 2 years ago in New Jersey, I think it was. And then they didn't do it last year, and then they brought it back in a different form. So I'm glad they're massaging with it, and they're it's really cool to see, honestly. Like I really like how they're doing it. But no major sports, I want to keep in mind, are built around tournaments. They're built around leagues. They're built around leagues. They're built around leagues because it's long term. You have seasons. It's very standard. It's what people look forward to. There's storylines. There's standings. There's stats. There's who gives a crap about your stats when they started yesterday and they're ending tomorrow? Right. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like
well, and here's an example. Like anybody can come and show up on that one weekend. Let's take Tours, for example. You had the Tour Roadrunners. They won the pro division, and one major guy showed up. And not, I don't want to say one major guy showed up. One guy kind of made the difference for that Tour Roadrunners team. And then look at what Tour Roadrunners did after that. They didn't really do much of anything. So I mean, all it takes is that one guy to show up and just make a statement.
There's no consistency. There's no. I mean, like name someone who is a fan of the Mission La Beta Snipers. Literally, just doesn't play, is not related to a player, is not a parent. Just I am a fan of the Mission La Beta Snipers. Nobody. Like they play one tournament a year. But you could say that about a bunch of the pro teams. It's because they only play 2 or 3 times a year. It's a big difference. You want to build the youth fan base of teams. You want to build the youth fan base of the sport in general. It has to be focused on leagues, and we just are not doing that. So that's why I'm such a big fan of the college league, because it has the most history and it has the most stability to be around forever. It's college. I mean, it seems like such a no-brainer. So that's why, I hope that I can build a career in roller hockey over the long term, and that's really my goal. And I hope that I'm able to build it outwards from college and build youth programs and youth leagues and leagues in general. If I have a million ideas and we could talk all day about this, but if anyone is out there listening and you are wondering where to start and how to grow the game, focus on leagues and not men's leagues. Multi-rink, multi-state leagues where you're traveling a little bit. I think I have the perfect way to start a professional league in the United States that is crazy cheap and basically already exists. And all you need is to aggregate a little bit, and it would be so cool. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to go on a tangent here if you don't mind.
All right, go for it, man, because I'm all ears. I want to hear this idea.
Okay. So have you seen the Elite Draft League in Irvine?
I have heard about it.
Beautiful. There are so many of those leagues across the United States, just nowhere near as well marketed as the Irvine one is. We have one here in Arizona. It's unreal. There's so many pro players. You're either pro, plat, college D1, or just really good in general. And to be invited into this league, it's invite only. They draft every season. There's a cash prize at the end, and guys take it super seriously. Like, these guys, they look forward to this all week. Like, I can't wait for Sunday League. It's the Arizona Elite League. And there's top division men's leagues all over the country. St. Louis, the top division, is nuts. Tons of pro players, tons of plat players, tons of college kids. New York, Skate State of America, the top league is nuts. Tons of pro players, tons of plat players, tons of college kids. They're all over the place, okay? Here's what you do. You're going to take the top division, and you'll be like, look, there's, whatever. We have 6 cities, 8 cities that are all going to go in on this. We're going to all agree. We're all starting on the same day. We're all going to end on the same day, okay? You're in your own conference. So, for example, Irvine, Corona, San Jose, Arizona. That'd be maybe your 4 cities. And then you group it on over there. You go, Long Island, Philly, Iska, New Jersey, and somewhere over there. So you're semi-close. The travel isn't crazy. Once per season, your team travels to a new rink. One time. It's the same as a tournament. Okay, but it's part of the league. And then you don't travel again until playoffs. You win your city, you move on. You win your city, you now have to play Irvine. Or San Jose, you win your city, you have to play Corona. Those 2 winners play each other same week. It all has to be in the same place. So you make it easy on these guys, and they're not taking off weeks at a time. So worst case scenario, you make it all the way to the national championship. You've traveled 3 times at most. For a real pro league that is covered, has the media, has the resources and support that something like this has, it essentially already exists. You could take these rinks, could promote the living crap out of it, because it's already there. The guys are there. They're playing the games. The teams are formed. The night is reserved. They've paid their money. It's already there. The skill level is there. Just aggregate it a little bit and get a little bit of cooperation, and you will be golden. You could even, if you want to do it so well, you could stagger it and be like, all right, Arizona plays on Sunday nights, Irvine plays on Monday nights, Vancouver plays on Wednesday nights, New York plays on Thursday nights. And if everything is live streamed, you have professional roller hockey live streamed 7 days a week. And it's games that are already there. Nobody's traveling an insane amount. When you had the NRHL, you had the MLRH, there was so much travel involved. I mean, you remember, right? If you don't even win your city, You've traveled one time. That's it. It's nothing. And you get that experience. You got to play a tournament at a really high level. Boo-hoo. Like
essentially you had a boys' weekend with the guys,
exactly.
in a different city.
Which would have been the same as a Narch event anyways, which you're probably already going to do if you're playing at that level.
Exactly.
It is a tiny extra cost. You could totally, when you only have 3 or 4 teams playing in an event, you could absolutely, work out with the other guys like, all right, I live 5 minutes from the rink. 3 of the opposing players can come live with me for the weekend. It's easy. Like when we went out to Nashville, we stayed in a guy's house. Mm-hmm. Our whole team stayed in one guy's house. Like it's, I understand they're adults, we're college kids. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
But there's things that can be done to mitigate costs, to be able to create something as cool as a pro league with very minimal planning and just a little bit of cooperation and aggregation. I think that's how it should start, and then build it up from there, because it already exists. You just need to scoop it together a little bit.
Yeah. It's definitely, you've got a great idea. Now it's trying to get those guys, those rinks to agree to want to do something like that, and hopefully the guys that are playing are willing to want to put their money where their mouth is, because I don't know about you, but I always wanted to know who the best pro roller team was, or the best of the best, in my country, So.
Absolutely. It would create a really meaningful national championship. And even if you didn't do that one travel weekend prior to winning your state, and that way you're only traveling if you win. You win your state, or you win your city, then you move on and you travel, and it makes it really easy as far as logistics goes with the players and the guys, and it doesn't add a whole lot of dedication, for these guys playing in this, unless they win, and if they win, then they probably want to do it anyways.
Right, exactly. So now I love the youthful passion, and now we're running almost an hour into this, but let's jump into, because I want to talk a little bit about what your plans are now that we've talked about GCU. You also have another company that you're starting to bring back, that you had already started to do something with it in the works earlier. Yep. But it kind of got put on the back burner because you really wanted to help make this GCU situation take off like you did. Now tell us a little bit about that company.
Sure. Yeah. So it's Good Roller, which we got right here. It is a lifestyle roller hockey brand that I started back in 2021 when I was at Lindenwood. And really, I started it because there's a lot of drama behind the starting of this company as well. So I'll kind of skip over it a little bit. But basically, I was at Lindenwood. I was completing my entire week's worth of schoolwork in like a couple hours. Huh? We practiced twice a week, and there's not a whole lot to do out there. So I was really bored. This just comes down to it. I just had a lot of time on my hands, and I don't really drink. I kind of drink a lot out there, but in general, I don't really drink. I don't really smoke or anything like that. Very, very, very occasionally. So I was just bored. I was on my phone all day, and I was like, I moved my life out here to Lindenwood, like, to play roller hockey. I want to rep some like roller hockey gear. Like I love the sport. I love what I'm doing. Like, I'm proud of it. I want to wear some stuff. And so there was a website who, I won't bring it up, but like I had bought stuff from them before. They had roller hockey stuff. I went on their website. Nothing was for sale. Went on their Instagram. They hadn't posted in like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. I was like, oh, this company doesn't exist anymore. Screw it. I've been a graphic designer for 7 or 8 years at this point. I'm just going to make my own shirts. And you know what? If people buy it, great. If nobody buys it, oh well, I get to wear it, and I paid for my own stuff. Like,
right,
sucks. So I spent a couple weeks building this website. I picked the name Good Roller, which is a term I've been hearing since I was 8 years old. And and the domain name was available as well, which made it easy. And I just made a couple designs and kind of just started from there. Took a couple of the designs down pretty immediately. I thought they were a vintage callback thing. Somebody got very mad at me, so I took them down. It's okay. I had sold one. I'd sold one T-shirt at that point. I was like, all right, I'll give you your $5 or whatever I made off the T-shirt if you would like it. So I took those stuff down, made a bunch of other stuff. I ended up making a new design every day for like 2 months. And I release it every single day, or a new collection. I was really just having fun with it. Wasn't making a whole lot of money. Just really enjoyed it, and I love graphic design and I love rollers, so it just kind of melded really well. And I had a bunch of time on my hands. I was going to class and did my practices, and that was really it. And I was really having fun with the marketing side of it. Honestly, there was a lot of immediate support for it. A lot of fans. It was a lot of fun running it. And then once I got to GCU, I really did not anticipate how much work this was going to be. I was really going into it, all right, like I'm going to spend about as much time on managing this as, I was managing like a tournament team. No, I I spend every waking hour of my existence thinking or working on this team. It's unbelievable, especially with just like these first 2 years, which are probably the most difficult. The first summer at GCU, I spent probably 10 hours a day on phone calls, just calling kids, asking them to come to GCU. I was on, every call was 45 minutes to an hour trying to convince them. I had the same spiel over and over and over again. I could probably recite it to you right now. It was 45 minutes long. That was, it took a lot of time. So Good Roller kind of went on the back burner. It actually was my full-time job for like 4 months while I was at school. I was making pretty good money. Good for a college student. Like,
right.
I was making like $2,000 a month. Like, it wasn't crazy, but it was more than like a lot of my other college students were making, at least where I was. And so then when I came to GCU, kind of went on the back burner, didn't put nearly as much time into it, stopped posting on Instagram, which was a big deal for me. I'm big into the social media aspect of the roller game. And so time goes by. We're now 2 years into GCU. I finally graduated. I haven't posted on the Instagram in probably 9 months or something. In fact, I think my last post was at Wish Cup last summer. So it might even be damn near a whole year at this point. And the reality was, like, between GCU and the Randy Bronson account, which I put a lot of time into because it was super fun and I like ruffling feathers. It just kind of fell to the back burner, unfortunately, which it's good and bad. Like, I built Good Roller. It's drop shipping. It's a drop shipping store. Mm-hmm. So if someone goes on there right now and orders something and I don't see the order, I don't see the message, I see nothing, they're still going to get it. The shirt will be made, it will be shipped to them, and they will receive it, and I will know nothing about it. And that's how I wanted it to be. I didn't build it to be a full-time job. I didn't build it to I just wanted it to exist. I'm very much someone who, like, I think this sport has so many different things that it needs to exist. Like, why don't we have an elite prospects for roller hockey? What the hell? How many freaking computer scientists play roller hockey that could take a weekend and build something like this out of the kindness of their heart? Hasn't happened yet. Taking it under, I don't know how to program, but I'm gonna figure it out. If someone else doesn't beat me to it, I promise you I'll figure it out. I just wanted it to exist, was really all it was. And it still exists. Like, the website is still up. You can still go buy things, even though I haven't touched it in a while. And now that I'm a week out of graduation right now, I have a lot more time. And I will definitely be doing a mass drop with a ton of clothes, tons of media and photo shoots. And I'm going to Colombia in a week. We're going to do stuff out there. It's going to be great. So I'm very excited about it. Good Roller will be back in full swing and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to have some fun with it.
Yeah, I'm excited because that's something, like for me as a pure roller guy, I never really played ice, except for some pickup here and there. And I'm always telling my fiance, I'm like, man, I can't find like a roller hockey hat anywhere, and I've tried, outside of making it yourself, and I suck at drawing,
That's where that's the problem I ran into too, is like I wanted a rep and I couldn't find anything. But yeah, hoping to bridge that gap. And you know what? I really hope I can grow Good Roller to be more than just clothing. I want to be able to build a statistic site that data scrapes and pulls everything from tournaments and leagues and stuff, aggregates it into one space under the Good Roller name. Like I want to create these smaller, I want to have a page on the Good Roller site that tells guys how to pick a wheel. Or I just want it to be a source of information that, maybe not as in depth or in the direction that Roller Dad News went, because, there's no reason to have multiple Roller Dad Newses. They're doing a fantastic job. Yep. But, just fill in the gaps, filling the spaces that Roller doesn't have, and making them readily available to everyone, and making it legitimizing the sport as humanly possible is really the name of the game. So that's where Good Roller came from. If you'd like to check anything out, it's goodroller.com. I'm currently actually at this very moment working on a national championship collection for GCU, which I think will look pretty cool. But then I'll go back to doing the normal collection here in a couple of days.
Good Roller, it sounds like a company that is worth repping. So as soon as I get a chance, once we get off of here, I'm gonna probably hop on and see what you got, and hopefully
Beautiful.
I can find something that I like. So
amazing. If you the landing page has a coming soon type message at the moment, but the collections are all still there. You can still go see everything and order everything that's been available. I have a lot of team stores on there, a lot of championship stores on there, like from my Lindenwood days, and lots of clothing available. So feel free to your heart's desire. And if you're a team out there who wants a team store, you can hit me up. I do team stores as well through the Good Roller brand, and we'll make something beautiful, I promise.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of GCH Podcast. Aydin, I hope you will come back on and we can talk more about your other alter ego that you have going on, because that guy sounds amazing. He sounds just kind of like Andy Kaufman's alter ego as well. Yep. I can't think of his name right now, but if it's who I'm, with what you've been describing, I think you guys would have been, it's right up my alley with that stuff. So,
well, Randy Bronson would be happy to come back on the GCH pod. Very excited. Thank you so much for having me. Anytime I get the chance to rant on about GCU and roller hockey, I'm going to take it. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.